We've been working together for 2 years. He's 31, I'm 28. He makes 80K a year, approximately, and I make 44K. Working on more, but it is what it is. I'm hoping that within a year I can get to 60K. We live separately, but lately, he talked with me about asking me to contribute financially because I'm at his a lot, maybe 3 to 6 days a week. I said I would think about it, and we left the conversation there. I texted him a few days later, asking whether having me over was expensive for him, how much he thought I cost him to come over, and what he was hoping I would cover in terms of expenses. He said he knew I made less than him, but he thought 20 to 30% of what he covers in rent was more than fair. He pays $2,100, since I'm over there half the time depending on the week. I told him that was too much, especially considering that I make far less than he does and already pay rent at my place. So I told him I contribute via groceries. He said that that wasn't fair since we go out frequently. I said that I don't choose to go out frequently. I cook for myself, and I'd be happy to cook at his place for myself or for both of us. He doesn't like home-cooked meals, no matter who makes them. He just likes the convenience of picking something up. So now I'm being more cautious about how much I go over, and I bring groceries whenever I go. Instead of 3 to 6 times a week, I'm now there 1 to 2 times a week at most. He's complained about the frequency of intimacy, and I responded that I couldn't afford to keep having intimacy with him if he charges $400 for monthly rent to have me come over frequently. He said I was taking that out of context. I personally don't see how. Now, having a boyfriend is a part of my budget. If I go over too much, then he's going to bring up that it's unfair that he covers all hosting costs. He can come to my place whenever he likes, but my place is much smaller and scaled down to my income, so he never wants to. Does that make me the idiot because I might not be paying my fair share? Not the idiot, but OMG, you don't have a boyfriend. You have a giant red flag. Who the heck puts a rent tag on their significant other coming over for a visit so he can keep his place and stay single? I was thrilled to have my girlfriend, now wife, stay at my place whenever she could, rent-free. What is wrong with people? His request that you pay for the privilege of being invited over to his home is ridiculous. You pay your rent at home. If he doesn't want you at his home, he doesn't have to invite you over. Do not feel obliged to make it up to him by paying for groceries, or more intimacy for that matter. He's selfish and strangely money-grubbing by asking you to contribute to his rent. Are you sure he's worth visiting at all? Yeah. The boyfriend expects OP to pay him $400 monthly to come over for his private services? OP, the only way you should be paying any contribution towards his rent is if you're both living together with one rent payment. If he wants to see you badly enough, he can come to your place and help contribute to your bills, correct? Also, you are worth so much more than some groceries. I-30 female recently got married to Matt, 30. Matt has a stepsister, Tiffany, 28. I've met her less than 10 times in the 5 years that I've dated Matt, as she doesn't live nearby and is not close to my husband. However, she was invited to our wedding. I should mention that Tiffany is beautiful. She's pretty with a currently fashionable body type. She also dresses well and spends money on her appearance. This is well known. And even though I've only met her a few times, whenever my in-laws bring her up, she's always mentioned as being very invested in her image. I don't begrudge her this at all. The ceremony went fine, but afterward, while my in-laws were congratulating me, my father-in-law commented that I looked beautiful, and in the next breath mentioned Tiffany did too. His wife caught his eye and shook her head, but I ignored it. When Tiffany came over to say congratulations, she looked stunning. Her dress was beautiful and fit her perfectly. Her hair and makeup looked like they'd been done professionally, and she was wearing a pair of obviously designer shoes. Her outfit was appropriate for the event, but I was weirdly upset by how she looked, and immediately felt self-conscious next to her. Even Matt told her she looked great, and they rarely talked. For the rest of the night, every male guest at the wedding asked about Tiffany, who she was, how I knew her, if she was single, etc. I was fed up and almost in tears by the speeches, and even the best man mentioned her in his speech off the cuff. Finally, I let it go, went on my honeymoon, and tried to forget the whole thing. We returned about a week ago, and this past weekend we had dinner with my in-laws. Tiffany was visiting, and we learned that she had gotten engaged. She showed us her comically large ring and said she was planning to have the wedding next year and that it would be a black tie event. Before I could stop myself, I jokingly said that I was pretty sure I'd already been to her wedding. I was the one in the white dress. She asked what I meant, and I thought there was no point in lying, so I just admitted that I felt she upstaged me at my wedding. She laughed and said, "You can't upstage a bride." I asked if I could wear white to her wedding then, and she shrugged and said, "If you think it'll help." She then apologized if I felt her outfit was inappropriate. My in-laws moved the conversation on, and we went on with dinner. When we got home, my husband blew up on me, saying I embarrassed him by being petty and jealous of Tiffany. He said he doesn't even like her, but even he knows she can't do anything about what she looks like or the clothes she can afford, and I made myself look bitter and childish, and him by association. I'll admit it wasn't my best moment, but I thought that he would at least understand how I felt, given that he had heard everyone's comments that night. He's demanding that I apologize to Tiffany and his parents, but I don't think I said anything that heinous. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Do you know what makes Tiffany so attractive compared to you? Her confidence. I asked if I could wear white to her wedding then, and she said, "If you think it'll help." What a classy, confident woman Tiff must be to react to such a petty, jealous attack with such a smooth shutdown and follow it up with an apology despite being wholly unnecessary. If you weren't busy feeling threatened by her, you could learn a thing or two. Heck, I'd love to learn a thing or two from her. Someone came to your wedding. Her outfit was appropriate for the event, and because men at your wedding were more attracted to her than you, she upstaged you and ruined your wedding? So you wanted all of the men attending your wedding, besides the one you're marrying, to be romantically interested in you, the bride, on the day you celebrate your commitment to your husband? And she's a bad person for being conventionally attractive, putting effort into her appearance, and having people notice that? Should she have put on some coveralls and a baseball hat and sat in the back so that you could have the spotlight on you? Sorry, they wanted to chat up the lady not actively getting married. Tiffany is hilarious and beautiful. Your comment about the comically large ring just adds jealousy to your list of negative qualities. By your own admission, the outfit was completely appropriate for the event. She didn't wear white, announce her engagement or pregnancy during your wedding, strip or bang the best man in the cloak closet. She simply attended. Apologize and work on your insecurities. I, 34 male, am not fond of my brother's wife, 23. Even before the wedding planning started, the overall vibe was just weird. She's very demanding of my little brother. She tried to insert herself into our family very quickly. They were only together for 8 months before they got engaged. I do my best to play nice for my brother's sake. I agreed to be one of his best men, but expressed my concerns to him both before and after I accepted. Their wedding was today. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I made it through without much incident. My husband and our infant were there as guests, and I was looking forward to spending time with them following the ceremony. Neither myself nor my husband was drinking more than 1 glass of champagne, since our son was there, but there was an open bar. My brother's wife was already at least tipsy by the time the first dances picked up. After all the usual dances, she came over to where my husband and I were seated and held out her arms for our son. She said she wanted to have a first dance with him. It was a cute gesture, but I smiled and politely declined. She and I don't have much of a relationship outside of your usual pleasantries, and I don't feel comfortable with her holding my son. She tried again, and my husband stepped in and told her a stern no since she didn't accept the first one. She kind of laughed things off, and things went on without incident after that. The event wrapped up about an hour ago, and I've since received some pretty scathing texts from my brother saying that I embarrassed his wife at her wedding and that she's very upset. Am I the idiot? Tipsy plus probably wearing heels plus probably in a dress that obstructs movement or creates a tripping hazard. No way you're holding my baby. Not the idiot. A baby isn't a prop to be passed around, especially to a person drinking. You said she was already tipsy. Spinning around the dance floor with a wiggly infant spells disaster. You also aren't required to let someone hold your baby if you're not comfortable with it, no matter how much of a tantrum they throw after the fact. Also, wearing a dress that she'll likely be really angry if the baby spits up on it, because spinning a baby around on a dance floor sounds like a great way to make them throw up. If she doesn't already have a strong relationship with you and your family, she's basically just using the baby as a prop. And good for you to draw a boundary for your child's safety. What if she had tripped or fallen? Your brother ought to be ashamed he backed her up. You are the idiot, because it 100% sounds like you don't like your sister-in-law for no apparent reason. I got complete petty vibes from you towards your brother's new wife. Your overall tone is judgmental. Your brother proposed at 8 months, did he not? Why is she at fault for that? The real cause of friction between you and your brother is that you probably turn your nose up at his relationship and aren't as good at hiding it as you think. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. This post starts by claiming that he doesn't like her because she dared to insert herself into the family while giving no examples, which is usually a sign that OP wanted to exclude her for some silly reason. Honestly, the rest of the post makes me wonder if she was tipsy or just happy about her wedding. I have the feeling everything she does is taken in the wrong way because of his strong dislike for her. My female 26. Car broke down several weeks ago. My boyfriend Nick, 29, drives me to and from work daily, which I'm thankful for. However, he has this habit of waving me goodbye every time he drops me off at work. I mean a hand-up waving type of waving. It didn't bother me much until one of my coworkers saw him and brought it up to the whole department later to laugh about it. I was livid that day. Nick came to pick me up and I didn't say anything till we got home. That's when I flipped out and told him that the way he was waving me goodbye like I was some 5-year-old girl embarrassed me in front of my coworkers. He acted confused and said he didn't get what was wrong with what he was doing and he was just making a nice gesture. I told him he should have used some other method like a text or something, but he argued that, first of all, he's doing me a favor dropping me off and picking me up every day, using his car, and driving an extra 20 minutes to get to his own work. And that second of all, my coworkers were rude to think that this was something they would get a laugh from and said I should be mad at them, not him, instead of saying I embarrassed him. We argued some, and he stopped speaking to me for the rest of the night. I feel like an idiot. I appreciate his favor, but to wave at me like I was a schoolgirl got my coworkers laughing and making me the butt of their weird joking habit. Am I the idiot for telling him that he embarrassed me? You are the idiot, and your coworkers are idiots who need more love in their lives. Go and apologize to your boyfriend. Tell him nicely, if you don't want to be waved off, even then, it's clear the only disdain you have for it is because your mean coworkers take the piss out of it. The coworker who brought it up did so because they have no one in their life who cares enough to wave goodbye to them or even drop them off. I'd be over the moon if someone did that for me every day. You're embarrassed not by your boyfriend, but by what some idiot at your work thinks of him. Your loyalty should lie with him, not with some bully colleague. When I used to work, my husband would sometimes come into the restaurant for some food after his shift and gasp, kiss me goodbye when he left. What kind of sad existence are all these people living when a simple goodbye wave is a cause for embarrassment? Let me clarify. You have a boyfriend who drives you to and from work. He's sweet enough to wave goodbye when he drops you off. Your coworkers are jealous that you have a sweet and charming boyfriend who cares about you, so they joke about it. You're embarrassed that your coworkers see you have a sweet and charming boyfriend, and you care more about what your coworkers think than your boyfriend. Does that sum it up? If I were you, I'd apologize to your boyfriend before he waves you goodbye for good. My female teen, father 46, is the breadwinner, while my mom is a stay-at-home mom. She handles everything around the house, like cooking, mopping, washing, laundry, etc. I'm the oldest, and I try to help, but there's only so much I can do while my dad just gets home at the end of the day and complains about everything, like how the carpet isn't clean or how the food is cold. As a result, I'll have to listen to a huge argument daily between him and my mom. It's exhausting, but honestly, I think that my dad is in the wrong here. I tried to talk to him to get him to see how his behavior was, but to no avail. So I picked one of his days off and pretended to act like him. I put together an outfit that looked like a suit and put black tape over my lips to look like a mustache. At 6 p.m., I went inside the house, shouted, "I'm home," then sat next to him in the living room and started kicking my shoes while complaining about the state of the house at the top of my lungs. He glanced at me, confused, asking what I was doing. I ignored him, then started yelling about the dirty carpet, the shower not ready, the kids needing to be quiet, and so on. He kept staring while Mom and my siblings laughed. My youngest brother kept pointing toward me, saying, "This is Daddy." I then yelled about dinner and scolded my mom for not preparing it on time. My dad stopped me and, in a serious tone, asked what I was doing. I turned to him and said, "What? Can't a man rest after working darn long hours?" in the most macho voice I could muster. My dad got the hint because this was the common phrase he used daily. He went quiet and avoided looking at me. I stopped the act and told him I was just trying to show him what it's like every day when he comes home from work. He said nothing, just went outside and refused to speak to me. Later he went on about how I mocked and invalidated him, that he does work hard, and me doing this was disrespectful and invalidating. Mom said it was funny, but also thought I hurt my dad's feelings, and I could have gotten the message across in some other way instead. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. OMG, this made me laugh. Sometimes you have to give people a taste of their own medicine to get the point across. Maybe you can sit down with him and talk about how his behavior is hurtful and rude every day. Your mom sounds like she works hard too, and he shouldn't treat her like that. If your dad wears a suit to work, which you mentioned, he's not doing anything that makes him dog tired when he's arriving home at 6 p.m. That's a regular white-collar workday. I think you should keep up the act. Save that mustache for future use whenever necessary. LMAO, Dad's just clued into how toxic he's being without realizing he was being toxic. And most importantly, what he's showing to your siblings is showing them it's okay to be like this when it isn't. Breadwinner doesn't mean you get to throw your weight around as soon as you get home. Maybe this is the wake-up call your father needs.